getting hot in here. Must be all this cash I'm waving around. Actually, it's probably the unseasonably warm English summer that I'm currently enjoying, but money is definitely a hot topic. In fact, you may not already know this, but money is the single most common thing that otherwise happy couples fight about. Now, I don't know if you remember the film Indecent Proposal from the late 80s, Demi Moore, Woody Harrelson, and Robert Redford. And he offers the previously happy couple $1 million cash if he can sleep with the wife. And they figure that money won't change them, and they are happy and they'll remain happy. And of course, what follows for the next 90 minutes is the disaster that indecent proposal and the money that followed from it created in their life. But even if you are already happy and you're not likely to accept a gift of $1 million for an indiscretion, you probably find that if you're in a relationship, a partnership, that you do squabble from time to time about money. So what I wanted to talk to you about today is my foolproof way for, if not eradicating completely, then at least minimizing those money squabbles. It's a very simple concept. It's called creating a budget. So what my husband and I do is we sit down at the start of each year and we create a budget. We write down a list of all the things that we think we need to spend money on each week, each month, as well as those quarterly expenses. And we write down every single thing we can think of, from filling the car with petrol, paying for the kids' sporting activities, getting my eyebrows waxed, you name it. Every single thing we can think of, we write down in this budget. So we start by writing a list of all of our expenses. Then we hash through together and we decide what we think is a reasonable outgoing and what isn't. So is it reasonable to expend, $1 million on babysitting? Perhaps not, but are we happy to spend a couple of hundred? You bet. And we hash through this list, and absolutely, there are a few debates and a few heated, impassioned cases made for a particular spend that one person wants and the other person doesn't. But we hash through this list and we tweak our numbers until we come up with something that we are both willing to commit to. Now, I'm going to tell you, it doesn't mean it's perfect. I'm missing out on some things I want. He's missing out on some things he wants, or our savings goals might not be 100% aligned, but we work until we get something that is an acceptable compromise for both of us. Then we take that budget and we commit to it. And each month we follow that budget. And we have an agreement between us that if ever we're going to go over budget, we need to discuss it with the other person first. So I don't need to say to my husband, I want to go and buy a lipstick. That's none of his business. But if I want to do something that's outside of the spend that we've agreed between us in our budget, then we'll sit down and have a chat. It's not about one person asking permission from the other person. It's about saying, hey, you and I made a commitment and I'd like to vary that commitment. Can we discuss this together and see if this variation on our commitment is something we can both agree to? Now, why do I think this annual budget idea is such a good idea? Because we fight about money once. I'm not going to lie to you, that initial budget discussion can sometimes be a little heated, a little tense. We try to do it over a glass of wine. We try to make it a happy event, but you know what? It's not perfect. But we fight about money once. We have that debate, that discussion, but you always do this, but you always do that. We have it once. And then we commit to something and we don't need to have it again. We don't need to have it again. For the rest of the year, we just stick to what we've agreed to. Now, we tend to do it for 6 months, and then midway through the year, we'll come back to that budget and we'll say, did that work for us? Is it still working for us? Are we finding we're regularly having to agree a compromise on a certain item? So let's just adjust that in our budget, or maybe we want to save for something in particular, so we need to pull back in certain areas or increase certain areas. And so we might do that in the middle of the year. But the key to this strategy is not saying that you're never ever going to argue with your loved one about money again. It's about having that argument once, doing the hard work once, and then creating something you can both happily agree to and commit to for the rest of the year so that you don't keep having the same old month in, month out. I'm Domonique Bertolucci and you've been watching DBTV, the place to go to feel good about who you are and the life you live. If you've liked this, like it and please share it with your friends. And don't forget, if you haven't already done so, to sign up for my email updates where you'll find out about all sorts of things that I only share with my correspondents. I'll be back again next week with another episode of DBTV. And until then, take care and remember, it's not about having it all. It's about having the things that matter. Now I'm going to go and take this stash of cash and put it back under the mattress where it belongs. Bye.